Hello, everybody, and welcome back to What's the Word? Today is Monday, February 8th, 2021, and today the word comes from Micah 6, verse 8 out of the Message Bible, which reads, "But he's already made it plain how to live, what to do, what God is looking for in men and women. It's quite simple. Do what is fair and just to your neighbor. Be compassionate and loyal in your love, and don't take yourself too seriously. Take God seriously." And while that's pretty straightforward, there are a lot of people who claim Christianity but stand by when they see injustice, judge other people for their sins even though they're sinners themselves, and their major downfall is their pride or hubris. So while Micah is a book in the Old Testament, it does show how to love, how to represent God's love in the world as a New Testament believer, and that's by loving your neighbor as yourself and loving God with all your heart. Starting today's scoreboard watching with college basketball and Georgetown. Last Wednesday, they defeated 15th ranked Creighton 86-79. The Hoyas entered the game as a 13-point underdog, but never trailed by more than 3. In fact, they led by as many as 11 points in the first half. The Blue Jays did manage to rally and tie the game early in the second half, but Georgetown's hot shooting night, 50% from the floor, including 10 of 21 from 3, or 47%, was enough to knock off the 15th ranked team in the nation. Georgetown's senior guard Javon Blair matched Creighton's Denzel Mahoney with a game-high 22 points. In the following game, yesterday on Super Bowl Sunday, Georgetown lost to third-ranked Villanova 84-74. The Hoyas played a surprisingly close game with the nation's third-ranked team, but in the end, they couldn't stay down on shot fakes, leading to open looks, which turned into Villanova shooting 50% from 3, as well as an accumulation of visits to the free throw line, where the Wildcats only missed 1 of their 18 attempts. Villanova's senior forward, Jermaine Samuels, had a career-high 32 points, while Javon Blair led Georgetown with 18. Next up for the Hoyas, they'll rematch with 15th ranked Creighton tomorrow at 9 p.m. Moving on to Maryland, who was in action on Friday, losing to Penn State 55-50. The showing offensively was sloppy for both teams. Penn State, who leads the Big Ten, forcing 14.5 turnovers per game, committed 13 of their own, but also forced 16 Maryland turnovers, 7 of which came in the game's first 10 minutes. Despite the abysmal start, the Terps still found themselves with a 9-point first-half lead. That is, until they went scoreless in the final 2 minutes and 34 seconds, allowing the Nittany Lions to knot the game up at 23 by the break. The second half wasn't much prettier as the Terps went without a made field goal for the final 7 minutes and 32 seconds, while Penn State didn't make a bucket during the last 4 minutes and 34 seconds of the game. What I liked in this game was that Maryland shot 81% from the free throw line, making 13 of their 16 attempts, led by Eric Ayala, who went 9 for 9 in his quest for 23 points on the night. But what I didn't like was nearly everything else, as Maryland shot 3 of 17 from beyond the arc, or 17%, and along with the turnovers, they only tallied 6 assists. Of course, that has to do a lot with making shots, but the turnover margin was terrible, 16 turnovers and only 6 assists. Next up for Maryland, they will play today against 7th-ranked Ohio State at 9 p.m. Next up, the NBA and the Washington Wizards. Although their weekend was disappointing, the Wizards started out last Wednesday with an encouraging showing in Miami, defeating the Heat 103-100. Being the second game of a back-to-back, Russell Westbrook did sit out due to rest, but Bradley Beal stepped up to the plate with 32 points, 8 rebounds, and 4 assists, although he did turn the ball over 5 times. Rookie forward Denny Avdia had 13 points on 3 of 5 3-point shooting, continuing to knock down the 3 in the NBA, and Rui Hachimura, although he struggled with scoring, only 11 points, he was aggressive, making it to the free throw line, only knocking down 5 of the 9 attempts, but he contributed in other ways with 9 rebounds and 5 assists. As for Ish Smith, he struggled mightily, filling in for Russell Westbrook. He didn't score on the night, going 0 for 8 from the field. But the bench stepped up, outscoring Miami's bench 38-27. Troy Brown Jr., finally getting some minutes and playing as the backup point guard, had 9 points, 7 rebounds, 1 assist, and did not turn the ball over. Former Terp Alex Len had 10 points, 8 rebounds, and 3 assists, and my guy Garrison Matthews added 8 points. Davis Bertans did knock down 3 of his 3-point attempts, but that came on 8 shots, and after the game, he gave us some perspective on his struggles, saying, "I gotta be patient. I gotta put the team first and wait for good looks." And I was pretty happy to see Davis admit that. Some of his shots, although he was signed to be a 3-point shooter, some of his shots had been hurting the Wizards more than they had been helping. Defensively, Tyler Hero did put up 20 points against the Wizards, but 17 of those came in the first half, so they did do a good job of adjusting in the second half. Jimmy Butler had a near triple-double with 19 points, 9 assists, and 8 rebounds, and Bam Adebayo added 17 points and 11 rebounds. Most of the Wizards' success in this game came from playing a zone defense, something you haven't seen from them much in this season, but it definitely worked in this game. Turnovers was a big problem in this game for both teams, as the Wizards committed 17 and Miami committed 16. The biggest thing that the Wizards had to work on leaving this game was three-point defense, as they allowed Miami to make 12 three-pointers on 35 attempts. Many thought that the Wizards will carry their momentum over from Wednesday's game into Friday's game against the Heat, and that was not the case, as they lost a whopping 122-95. Bradley Beal showed that he was human, only scoring 7 points on 1 of 14 shooting, including going 0 of 12 in the first half. Russell Westbrook added 13 points, but turned the ball over 6 times. Davis Bertans had 9 points, showing that he did consider his previous quote saying he had to get some better looks, only attempting 3 three-pointers and making 2 of them. As for the highlight of the game, former Terp Alex Len had 18 points and 5 blocks, one off of his career high. Bam Adebayo for the Heat had 21 points, making it to the free throw line 11 times and converting all 11 attempts. Kelly Olynyk, after not having a good opening game on Wednesday, decimated the Wizards from 3, going 5 of 7, going for 17 points, and Kendrick Nunn was the big story, going for 25 points, as he had his way in the paint, going 11 of 17 from the floor. The Wizards' problem once again was turnovers. They had 18 while Miami had 17, and again it was three-point shooting. The Wizards allowed the Heat to shoot 42% from 3, as they only shot 24% themselves. After getting smacked in the mouth on Friday, Sunday offered an opportunity at redemption, but there was no redemption in sight, as the Wizards lost 119-97 to the Charlotte Hornets. Bradley Beal had a bounce-back game, going for 31 points on 50% shooting, and Russell Westbrook added a near triple-double, 12 points, 11 rebounds, 9 assists, and of course turned the ball over 5 times. The Wizards bench had another strong showing, outscoring Charlotte's bench 43-30, led mostly by Robin Lopez, who had 14 points, subbing in for Alex Len, who got the start but struggled mightily against Cody Zeller. Cody Zeller had 16 points, including a 7-0 opening run all by himself, 9 points in the first quarter, and 13 points in his first 8 minutes of action. Terry Rozier led Charlotte with 26 points, going 5 of 9 from 3, so Washington still can't defend the three-point line. Gordon Hayward had 25 points, LaMelo Ball had 19, and Charlotte shot 41% from 3. They also dominated the Wizards on the boards, winning the battle 59-48. After the game, head coach Scott Brooks addressed the media about a technical foul he received for excessive timeouts, saying, "I didn't care about the timeout, I didn't care about the technical. I was trying to stop the bleeding." At this point, I don't really know how you can keep defending this guy. He said he was trying to stop the bleeding, but if anything, it caused more bleeding, as a technical foul allowed Charlotte to shoot 2 free throws and get the ball back. So if anything, it did exactly the opposite of what he was trying to do. You know, I will say I was a fan of Scott Brooks, the hire of Scott Brooks back in 2016. But at this point, I really think the Wizards are best served moving on from him. Bradley Beal, on the other hand, doesn't think the problems come from Scott Brooks. He said that coach is doing all he can. He thinks the real problem is that the Wizards don't have any dogs. Their next opportunity to show some fight will be today as they take on the Chicago Bulls at 8 p.m. In hockey, the Washington Capitals' losing streak continued. On Thursday, they fell to the New York Rangers 4-2. It was not a pretty game. They fell down 2-0, struggled to compete in the first and second periods, were sloppy against the Rangers' forecheck, and had 18 of their shot attempts blocked. A bright spot, they were 3 for 3 on the penalty kill, but 0 for 4 on their own power play, and allowed an empty net goal with 27 seconds remaining. Dressing 11 forwards and 7 defensemen instead of the typical 12 forwards and 6 defensemen, Alex Ovechkin had to play 27 minutes of ice time, which is the most in his career since 2010. Playing through the frustration, Alex Ovechkin had 7 shots on goal, 9 in total, 1 was blocked, and another missed badly. Following the bad miss, you can see Alex Ovechkin talking to his stick, and the results followed. Off the following face-off, Alex Ovechkin ripped the shot past New York's goaltender, scoring his 3rd goal of the season and his 709th of his career, moving him into 7th place all alone, trailing Phil Esposito by 8 goals in the pursuit of 717. Following the game, the Capitals had to place yet another player on the COVID-19 protocol list, making Jakub Vrana their 5th placement on that list. They've gotten Alex Ovechkin and Dmitry Orlov back, but they're still missing Evgeny Kuznetsov and Ilya Samsonov. Sunday marked the Capitals' 3rd consecutive regulation loss, as they were defeated by the Philadelphia Flyers 7-4. Alex Ovechkin had a spectacular night, getting the scoring going on the power play goal with the feed by Tom Wilson. Then following that up with a beautiful deke, the curl and drag around the defender, feeding the puck in front of the net, which was finished off by Tom Wilson. Then he would have a goal off a slap shot from the blue line, which somehow found its way into the back of the net. And last but not least, a tic-tac-toe pass, finding Nicklas Backstrom, who caught on his forehand, spun to his backhand, and finished 5-hole. Alex Ovechkin's 2-goal and 2-assist day would leave him 6 remaining from 717 on his career, but that was just about everything that went right for the Capitals. Goaltender Vitek Vanacek was replaced by Craig Anderson with 3 minutes and 24 seconds remaining in the second period after giving up 4 goals on 14 shots. Craig Anderson wouldn't fare too much better as he allowed 2 goals on 8 shots, and then the Flyers would end the game with an empty net goal. Philadelphia's Scott Lofton recorded his first career hat trick, and after a back and forth first and second periods, the Flyers scored 3 unanswered goals to defeat the Caps. Next up for them, they will have a revenge game against the Flyers tomorrow at 6 p.m., and they will be debuting their new reverse retro jerseys. Super Bowl 55 wasn't as competitive as a lot of people thought it would be. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers defeated the Kansas City Chiefs 31-9, making them not only the first team to play in a Super Bowl out of their home stadium, but also to win it. Tom Brady was named Super Bowl MVP for the 5th time in his career, throwing for 3 touchdowns, 2 to Robert Gronkowski and 1 to Antonio Brown, and he wins his 7th Super Bowl in 10 appearances in his 21st season. A lot of people questioned the officiating as the Chiefs were penalized 11 times, accounting for 120 yards, while the Buccaneers were only penalized 4 times for 39 yards. A lot of that comes down to discipline, although there were some pretty sketchy calls in my opinion. Although Tom Brady was named the MVP, the real MVP of the game was Tampa Bay's defense, as they accounted for 3 sacks, 2 interceptions, and pressured Patrick Mahomes 29 times, which is 52% of his dropbacks in the game, the most in Super Bowl history. They also did not allow a single touchdown. With the Super Bowl, that also meant NFL honors happened this week, and as I predicted, Chase Young of the Washington football team did win the NFL Defensive Rookie of the Year. I was, however, incorrect saying that Patrick Queen would finish second, as he finished third behind the Carolina Panthers' Jeremy Chin. Alex Smith did win the Comeback Player of the Year, as I predicted, but it wasn't unanimous, as somehow Ben Roethlisberger got 1 vote. Haters. And last but not least, Ron Rivera was in consideration for Coach of the Year, like I suggested, finishing in 4th place with 4 total votes. The winner of Coach of the Year was Kevin Stefanski for the Cleveland Browns, so that's well deserved. He brought them back to the playoffs for the first time in 18 years, so good job, Kevin Stefanski, and maybe next year for Ron Rivera. In some baseball news, while I don't typically talk about minor league signings, this one from the Baltimore Orioles did catch my attention. Signing starting pitcher Felix Hernandez to a 1-year, $1 million deal. It's not too often that you give out $1 million deals for minor league players, but Felix Hernandez is a special case. Although he has fallen off a cliff lately, he is a 6-time All-Star and the 2010 American League Cy Young Award winner. So with the Orioles needing some pitching help, this is a great move for them. And the pitcher known affectionately as King Felix should offer some excitement for Orioles fans. He did not pitch in 2020 after opting out of the season with the Atlanta Braves due to COVID-19 concerns. As for the Washington Nationals, they also made a minor deal, bringing back Gerardo Parra to a non-roster spring training invite. Parra is a member of the 2019 World Series championship team, known mostly for curating the Baby Shark movement, which brought a lot of energy to the fan base. As far as what he can bring to the team in general, he's an infielder and outfielder. They need help at third base. He's played third base. He's played pretty much everywhere in the infield. And he can offer another maybe 4th or 5th guy in their outfield, if he makes the team, of course. Last but not least, take a look at this Knockout of the Year candidate from UFC Fight Night Vegas 18 over the weekend, as Corey the Sandman Sandhagen landed this flying knee to the face of future Hall of Famer Frankie Edgar, knocking him out 26 seconds into the fight. That's all I have for today's episode. Thank you everybody for tuning in. God bless.